Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're going to take a look at the new Ducky ZERO 6108. This is a full-size ISO keyboard, completely mechanical, and is incorporating the latest technology from our good friends over at Cherry. This is using the new Cherry MX2A switches. These are going to be the new gold standard for mechanical keyboards going forward. As most of you probably are aware, Cherry switches are probably amongst the best and have certainly been around for a very, very long time, and they've managed to take something which was very good anyway and improve it even more with some really cool technology going into their switches, such as self-censoring coils. You've also got a new barrel type spring. There's all kinds of technology gone into this to make it for a very, very stable and very, very smooth experience. Other than that, Ducky have taken that technology and embedded it into the ZERO 6108. This is available in two different colors. So this is the pure white version, which I think looks very nice indeed, very simple, very elegant, and certainly gets the job done. Alternatively, if you want a black keyboard, there's a black version as well, and it comes in a variety of different switch types. So whether you want to go for your classic MX2A browns, reds, blues, even the ones I've got here, which are the speed silvers, which I personally love. These are great switches, completely smooth, no stickiness, very nice travel, an excellent typing experience. The switches also now come pre-lubed from the factory, so they're essentially ready to go. So if you're thinking about maybe looking into a custom or DIY keyboard, but you don't quite have the deep pockets to afford one of those, this may be right up your street. Now, at the time of making this video, this keyboard and all the variants of it are the same price over at overclockers.co.uk at $99.99 with free postage. In the interest of full disclosure, this review unit has been sent to me free of charge for review purposes from overclockers.co.uk. They haven't asked me to say anything or do anything specifically, just take a look at the keyboard and report my feelings. As you'd expect from a YouTube channel, there will be affiliated links in the video description if you want to pick one up for yourselves. And as always, those affiliated links may generate a small kickback for us. It won't cost you anything more, but certainly will go some way to helping out the channel. So let's start off with the unboxing and looking at what we actually get, taking a look at the packaging. So this is the traditional Ducky packaging, so it's the ZERO 6108, and on the back it goes through some of the key features, such as the dimensions and the weight. I'll put the dimensions on the screen for you now. The weight is a hard one to actually fathom. So this weighs in at 1.2 kilos. It is an absolute beast of a keyboard. It's extremely well made, very, very strong. You have got ABS plastic upper and lowers. Inside you've got metal substrates, and also they've now included a whole bunch of sound deadening materials and foam to make it for a really nice typing experience using their Q-Bounce technology. To really appreciate how much has gone into this on the inside, you really need to take it apart, but I'm not going to do that because I love this thing the way it is and I don't really want to touch it. It's basically perfect out of the box. So when it comes to actually inside the box, clearly you get the keyboard itself, and it is I think it's actually quite magnificent. So when it comes to the actual keycaps themselves, these are PPT double shot keycaps in the Cherry style. So actually quite a nice kind of swoop to them. Relatively flat, so not quite curved, but they do feel really nice. And the keycaps themselves are very nicely domed, so your fingertip fits perfectly inside of each key. Also, these are shine through keycaps, so they will let the RGB shine through, of which is actually very handy. And on the keycaps themselves, you'll notice that not only the legend, but also the secondary functions are also illuminated as well, which for me is a definite plus. Being that this is a full-size keyboard, so you've got all your keys here, including your number pad and also other function buttons and your F row along the top. These are also used for controlling things like the RGB and also the connectivity. We'll talk more about the connectivity a little bit later because I think that's actually quite an interesting one. Going back to the keycaps and also the keys, so something which is on this keyboard which I haven't seen in a very, very long time, but for me personally I'm actually really pleased to see it, and that is actually some dedicated media buttons and also a dedicated calculator button. Yes, a calculator button on a keyboard in 2024. This is fantastic. I use a calculator very often, especially when working out things like my taxes or exchange rates when buying from places like AliExpress or wherever it might be. So actually having a dedicated calculator button is excellent. Press it once, brings up the standard calculator, press it again, and it'll bring up the scientific calculator within Windows. I know that's a very sad thing, but I'm actually very impressed with that. Before we talk about some of the other features of the keyboard deck and stabilizers and connectivity, let's take a look at some of the other things which are included in the box. So you get your Ducky warranty card. There's also a QR code to scan to go to the Ducky site to get the information on the keyboard. There's a USB Type A to Type C cable with a Ducky strap on there to keep things nice and tidy. This is something I'd have liked to have seen actually in white, although it's a very nice cable and it is rubber coated. It would have been really nice being that this is the pure white version to maybe include a pure white USB cable as well. Although this does have wireless, so you may not use this at all except for charging. Going back to the keycaps, so if you want to remove any of the keycaps, maybe you're doing a bit of a cleanup or you just want to swap out some switches, maybe you're keen on swapping out some of the Cherry MX2s for something else slightly different, then you do have both a keycap puller and also a switch removal tool. Also included are 2 extra keycaps, although one of them technically isn't a keycap, but it kind of is at the same time. So you get this one here, which is part of their new Zodiac range. So essentially, if you buy this keyboard, depending on where you buy it and when you buy it, you'll actually get a key in there which is related to the actual Chinese Zodiac. So this one being a dragon on there, so I'm guessing it's the year of the dragon. The other keycap is a slightly unusual one. It isn't really a keycap as such, but it has got a Cherry MX stem on there, but this is for holding the wireless dongle. So this is the wireless dongle for the 2.4 gigahertz connectivity. Also included, if you're somewhat of a mucky person and maybe you like eating and drinking and doing many other things at your desk, it comes with this nice translucent cover which can fit over the top of the keyboard to protect it from any unlikely dust, debris and or spills. So now let's go back to taking a look at the keyboard. Let's do a little bit of a tour here. So obviously, full-size keyboard, as you can tell, all the keys there, as we said, PBT double shot keycaps. When it comes to the stabilizers, they've improved those as well. So these are using Cherry stabilizers, and again, they've refined these to make it for a very nice, stable feeling, no matter what key you're using on the keyboard. Other points of interest, there are some LEDs there for your number lock, your shift lock, and also your scroll lock if you want to. They're not actually marked up on there what they actually are, so you have to kind of guess what they are, but I guess some light is better than none at all. Moving around to the side, you can see they've got some nice detailing going on the side there, and there's a reasonable rake to the keyboard angle, so when you're typing in the flat position it's absolutely fine. And on the back you do have rubberized grips there to keep it steady on your desktop, although weighing in at 1.2 kilos it isn't going to move very far and potentially could double up as a weapon. If you like to have your keyboard a little bit higher up, then you do have dual adjustable feet. So there's a small incline and also a larger incline. So if you flip those both out, then it does give you a significantly higher typing angle. Also on the back there is the USB Type C connectivity and also some cable management options for either left, right and or center cables. The only real branding on this keyboard, other than the Ducky spacebar, if you choose to install that, is on the back here. So we've got the Ducky logo and it says it's the 6108. So again, very minimalist and is pointing away from you, so you're never likely to see it. Also tucked in the back here next to the USB Type C connectivity is the on-off switch. So very simple, you don't have all these different switches and buttons to choose from different styles or connectivity. In the off position, it works as a wired keyboard. In the on position, it works as both a Bluetooth keyboard and also a wireless 2.4 gigahertz keyboard. Something quite interesting they've done here with Bluetooth connectivity is something which you don't really see that often. Generally, most keyboards on the market these days have an option so you can connect up a couple of different Bluetooth devices. Ducky have gone the whole hog here and actually given you the option to choose between 4 Bluetooth devices. That's Bluetooth 5.0, and also you have the option for wired connectivity and also, like I said, the wireless 2.4 gigahertz. The 2.4 gigahertz is on the 1000 hertz polling rate, as is the wired, as you'd expect. When it comes to Bluetooth, you're going to be somewhere around about the 125 hertz, which is going to be for battery saving because it's not going to be polling your PC quite as often, so you might get a better battery life. And talking of battery life, this includes a 2500 mAh battery. If you're wondering what the battery level is, it's actually quite hard to work out, although if you're connected via Bluetooth, you can go into the Bluetooth settings on your PC and get a percentage from there. Otherwise, the only way you know that the battery is actually going flat is the escape key will actually flash red when the battery needs recharging. When it comes to the RGB modes, there's a lot of them built into the keyboard, and you're probably seeing some from some B-roll I filmed earlier if you haven't seen it already. One of the things that I do really take away from this is the fact that the RGB actually shines through really nicely and is very well illuminated regardless of the brightness levels. You can adjust the brightness levels. So if you press the function key and you can use the arrow keys. So the arrow keys left and right will speed up the RGB effect, faster or slower. Also, if you press the function key and up or down, it changes the brightness levels. So if you don't want it to be blinding you, then you can turn it down very easily. To change the actual settings, press function and F10, and you can cycle through the various modes and make adjustments to it. There's actually some very cool effects on here. which I wasn't entirely expecting to see, but there are some actually very nice things. And the illumination, like I said, is very nice. I like it a lot. They've done a really good job with the RGB on here. Ducky keyboards generally tend to do it quite well, especially the ones that have got the shine through caps like these. So yeah, I think this has worked out very nicely indeed. There will be other options in this as well. At the moment, the user manual for this, because it's so new, they're actually still working on the user manual. So I'll try and link that in the video description when it's been finally updated and all the extra key presses are in there for things like macros and all that other kind of stuff. So you can check out for yourself. But at the moment, these are pretty much the only ones that I've worked out. So function keys for changing your connectivity options and the F10 key for doing things with RGB, and obviously the arrow keys as well. So we should take a closer look at these new Cherry MX2A switches. So this one is the Speed Silvers. This is a linear switch, so there's no tactile bump at all. They're really, really smooth and very, very, well, they're not scratchy and wobbly, which is what sometimes you get with some cheaper switches and also the original Cherry MXs. To some point, compared with some of the more modern switches on the market, they were a little bit scratchy and yeah, weren't always the best. But I think with this now, the new changes in technology with the MX2A switches, they've improved it dramatically. And this feels very similar to some of the very top end keyboards that I've tested recently. So now I've unplugged the cable and we'll do a little bit of a sound test this so you can hear what it's like. I'm actually connected to my mobile phone now over in the corner, so that's absolutely fine. So let's try a typing test. I think it sounds absolutely wonderful and it's very, very smooth. Now obviously that's going to be dependent on the switches you choose. Like I said earlier, there's various types you can choose. So if you like your traditional cherry browns, then you can go for that. If you like your blues, like to be a little bit noisy, you can go for that as well. There's the standard reds, the linears, there's the speed silvers, which are pretty much my favorite. A little bit lower resistance, but very, very smooth. And there's not very much wobble either, which is really nice. The spacebar has got a very little bit of wobble, but overall it's very nice and very, very well built, as you'd expect from a Ducky keyboard. Overall, I think this is a fantastic typing experience, and for £100 these days for a hot swappable RGB keyboard with all of these features built in, the wireless technology, the Bluetooth technology, these new switches. The switches alone, if you look at buying these switches as a pack to put into another keyboard, you're looking around about 45 to 50 quid just for the switches themselves. So the rest of the keyboard, the PCB, all the sound deadening foam, the extra accessories like the keyboard cover and all that kind of stuff for basically an extra £50. This is a phenomenal deal and I think it looks absolutely amazing. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments section below. I'm actually genuinely interested to hear what your thoughts are on this and especially those new Cherry MX2A switches. So I think it's going to wrap this one up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.